students, and welcome to a clip on how to solve quadratic equations by factoring. We're going to go over the mechanics of solving the quadratic equation by finding the solutions of the zeros, and then we're going to check our answers with a graphing calculator. Alright, so let's go ahead and write down the instructions for this for the notes. This is applicable to the two questions that we're going to be going over. Alright, so here goes the instructions. Solve just take my pen, the quadratic equations. Solve the quadratic equations by factoring and then use your graphing calculator. Use your graphing calculator to check your solutions. Check your solutions and sketch a graph. Sketch a graph of the resulting solution, of the resulting graphical solution. Alright, let's take a look at the first example. Number 1, we're going to be solving the quadratic equation 2x squared plus 3x minus 14 equals 0. Okay? Now this quadratic equation is already in standard form. Basically, that means that it's already set equal to 0, so we can just go ahead and solve by factoring. Okay, so I'm going to solve this quadratic equation by factoring. This method I'm going to use is known as factoring by grouping, or the AC method. I have some examples loaded up online that you can go over to master your art of this algorithm I'm about to show you. Okay, so let's factor this first, and then we're going to solve. To factor, I'm going to make my x, or some people call it diamond. AC goes on top, B goes on the bottom. AC and then B. AC, this is A, B, C. You must have your quadratic equation in standard form before you find A, B, C, or else your signs will be up, okay? AC is 2 times negative 14, which is negative 28. And then B is 3. Now we're going to play the game. We're going to ask ourselves, what two numbers multiply to give you 28 and add to give you 3? Alright? To help us with that, I'm going to make a list of factors of 28. And I'm going to see which pair can generate 3 for me, okay? So with 28 on the top, I know 1 times 28 gives me 28. If I add this 2, I get 29. If I subtract, I get 27. That's not 3. Next pair, 2 times 14. If I add this 2, I get 16. Sorry, if I subtract, I get 12. That's not 3. Move on. Next pair, 4 times 7. If I add this 2, I get 11. If I subtract, I get 3. Excellent. So this is a pair that works. Okay, so I'm going to use this pair to factor this quadratic trinomial. All right, so I'm going to put in here 4 and 7. Now I'm going to rewrite this using 4 and 7. Well, let's resolve the signs first, though. 4 plus 7 is not 3. One of these have to be minus, so which one has to be negative? Since there are some is positive, that means the smaller one is negative, so we have that like that. Alright, so I'm going to take these two and insert them here, so I'll have 2x squared instead of 3x. I'm going to have minus 4x plus 7x minus 14. Okay, I haven't changed the problem. I just look for two numbers, one with a common factor with the first term and one with a common factor with the last term, to replace 3 so that I can factor by grouping. Okay, this is exactly the same as the top. Alright, so let's partition it down the center, and we're going to factor by grouping. So I break it down this way. And then let's break everything down and see the factors that we can extract. Okay, so we're going to have 2 times x minus, we break down 4, 2 times x plus 7 times x minus, if you break down 14, is 2 times 7 equals 0. I factored it out in this way so I can extract common factors. If you can do this in your head, then you don't have to do this, okay? So what are the common factors I can extract from the first pair? I can take out 2, and I can take out an x. All right, when I factor those out, I have 2x on the outside, and I'm left with x and a 2. So I'm left with x minus 2. All right, let me put that in blue for you. This is what I'm left with, x, and then this minus 2 down here. All right, that's what I'm left with. All right, so x minus 2. And then here, bring down the sign, whatever the middle sign is. I'll factor out what's common here, which is a 7 and a 7. So put a 7 out, and then we're left with x minus 2. Now we have to freeze and check to make sure our answer is correct. Our factorization process is correct. These two quantities in parentheses have to be the same. Since they're the same, that means I can factor them out. And that also means that my process thus far is correct. Okay? So I'll take out x and minus x minus 2 from both sides. I'll have x minus 2. And I'll be left with 2x plus 7. So in the next parenthesis, what I'm left with, I'll put it in the parenthesis 2x plus 7. Okay? So what I've just done is I have just factored this quadratic expression right here. It's x minus 2 and 2x minus plus 7. Now I'm going to use something called the zero product property to finish this off. If a product of two numbers is 0, that means one of them has to be 0. So either x minus 2 equals 0, or 2x plus 7 equals 0. Okay? All right, let's solve this. To solve this, I'm going to add 2 to both sides. Add 2, add 2. And then you have x equals 2. And on the right side, I'm going to subtract 7 and divide by 2. So subtract. It's a different color. So subtract 7. That will give you 2x equals negative 7. And then divide by 2, both sides. Divide this by 2, and divide that by 2. And that gives you x equals negative 7 over 2. So our solutions are x equals 2 or x equals negative 7 over 2. So those are our solutions, all right? So what we're going to do is we're going to use the graphing calculator to check to see if our answer is actually correct. All right, so hopefully you have your graphing calculator by now. If you don't, you're going to basically work with a partner that has one, okay? So let's look at the original problem. That's the original problem we have. I'm going to put this into my graphing calculator. I'm going to enter 2. And then this button right here with the link, this x, t, theta, and n, that's my variable button by default, 2x. If I want to square, I'm going to use caret and 2. So caret, and then 2. This caret means exponentiate, and then this is 2. So this is 2x squared plus 3x minus 14. Okay? So don't forget the square, you just use a caret for squaring. And then press enter. Now I'm going to graph the quadratic function. There you have it. Now we're going to try and look for find the roots, okay? So the question is, how did I just generate the graph? All you just do to generate the graph is you press this graph button right here. After you enter the function, you press this graph button right here and it generates the graph for you, all right? So you have the graph. Now to find the roots, you just need this calculate menu right here. So you're going to go second function trace to access the calculator menu, okay? So you go second function trace. And now we're looking for 0, so you scroll down to 2. That helps you find the 0. Okay? So we have to find 1 0 at a time using left and right points. Alright, so press enter. So it says the left bound. Left bound means you go to the left of the 0 you want. There's a 0 here, there's a 0 there. Let's do this one first. So use your left arrow and scroll. I don't see anything, then come down. Come right. Oh wait, there you go. So I want to go to the left of this 0, so I gotta scroll, use my left arrow and scroll. Scroll, 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 scroll. See, I'm to the left of this point. And now to the left of the 0 I want, based on this cursor, I'll press enter. And it says, where's the right to the 0 that you want? So I'm going to go scroll to the right of the 0 right here, press enter. And then it's going to ask guess. That means you want me to guess what the 0 is between these two arrows. You press enter. Bam, negative 3.5. And that's exactly the same thing as negative 7 over 2. All right? So that means this answer is correct. The next one should be 2, and then we'll know that we got it right. All right? So same process. If you want to calculate the 0 here, you're going to press second function, trace. To access the calculator menu, the yellow part right here. 0 is the option you use to calculate zeros. Press enter. Left to the point, I'm going to scroll so I'm really close to the left side. Scroll, scroll, scroll using your right arrow. So there you have it, to the left of the 0, press enter. And then go to the right of the 0, press enter. Enter again. Bam, your answer is 2. So we're actually right. We got it correct. Okay? So we have the zeros intersecting at negative 7 over 2 and 2. Alright, so let's make a sketch of this graph. We are confident that our answer is correct. Remember, this is not a perfect graph, it's just a sketch. Later on in this class, we're going to be going over how to generate really much more accurate graphs than what we have just done. Okay? So just to sketch the results, we have, let's call this 1, 2, 1, 2, and then negative 1, negative 2, negative 3, negative 4. The first 0 is negative 7 over 2, which is the same thing as negative 3.5 or negative 3.5. So we're going to grab the first 0 right here between negative 4 and 3. And then the second 0 is 2 right there. Okay? The y-intercept is basically the last number. So the y-intercept is negative 14. So down here, let's just call this negative 14 down here. That's going to be your y-intercept. Alright? Remember, this is just a sketch. So you just sketch a parabola, facing up, and goes through this 3 points. Alright, the vertex of my parabola is going to be somewhere at the center of these 2 points, between negative 3.5 and 2. And then the parabola goes up something like this, and then it goes up something like this. Okay? Alright. And then this will be a 0. This is the 0 x equals 2. And right here, it's another 0, x equals negative 7 over 2 or negative 3.5. Okay? Alright, we're going to go ahead and try another example. Write this down, question number 2. We're going to be doing exactly the same procedure that we just did. We're going to find the roots by factoring, or the zeros by factoring. And then we're going to check our answers with the calculator and then graph the results and solutions. So let's do 4x squared minus 11x plus 7 equals 0. So this is what we're going to be working on right now. All right, so we're going to factor this by grouping. So let's factor this by grouping. So what I'll do first, make my x. This is also known as the AC method, as I said earlier. Because AC goes on top and B goes on the bottom. Okay, so have AC on top and then B on the bottom. So since this quadratic is already in standard form, this is my A, B, and C. AC is the first times the last, which is 28 positive, and C is negative 11. All right, please keep track of the signs when you're constructing your X game. Now we're going to play the game asking ourselves, what two numbers multiply to give you 28 and add to give you negative 11? I'm going to list the pairs of factors of 28 to help me generate the combinations and run through them efficiently. All right, so 28, what times what gives you 28? 1 times 28. If I add these two, I get 29. If I subtract, I get 27. That doesn't work. 2 times 14. If I add these two, I get 16. If I subtract, I get 12. That's not 11. What's next? 4. 4 times 7. If I add these two, I get 11. Bam. This is a pair that works for me, okay? So I'm going to use this. All right, so let's put these two numbers into our X game. So we have a 4 here and a 7. Now let's resolve the signs. If I add two numbers and I get a bigger negative number, that means that both numbers are going to be negative, okay? So what is negative 4 times negative 7? Positive 28. So this works perfectly. Now I'm going to replace negative 11 with these two numbers I just found out, and that's going to make it possible for me to factor this quadratic trinomial by grouping, all right? So I'm going to go 4x squared. Instead of 11x, I'm going to put minus 4x minus 7x plus 7 equals 0, all right? Now, I haven't changed the problem. All I just did is I replaced it with two terms that can make this quadratic trinomial factorable. All right, so what I'm going to do is I'm going to break down the terms on the left and the right side of my partition so I can factor by grouping. So let's break down 4x squared. That's 2 times x minus 4x is 2 times x. On the right side, negative 7 times x. 7 is prime, so we can break it down. Plus 7 equals 0. Okay? Now here, what can I factor out? I can factor out 2 2's and an x. Okay, so factor out 2 2's and an x, because that's common on this side and this side of this partition. So since they're common, I'll factor them out. 2 2's multiply together to give you 4, so you have 4x. And you're left with, let's see. You're left with an x here, but nothing is left here. Whenever you take everything out, you're going to be left with a 1. So there's going to be a 1 that's left there, all right? So remember, every time everything goes away, you always be left with a 1, all right? So I'm going to have x minus, since everything got factored out, minus 1, all right? Now I'm going to bring down this minus. Now you have to be really careful when you're dealing with negatives. Anytime you factor out a negative, signs get flipped to the opposite, okay? So I'm going to take out a negative 7 from here and a 7 from here. When I take out a 7, negative 7, I'm going to be left with x. And anytime I take out a minus, the sign becomes the opposite. So minus factored out of a plus is a minus. And since this goes away, we're left with a 1. Okay, x minus 1 equals 0. Remember, if you take out the 7, you always have to, you can put a 1 there. That's what's left, okay? Now, notice minus times minus gives you that plus right there. Now, ask yourself the question, are we correct so far? Are we looking good? Look at these two quantities. Are they the same? They are. That means that we're correct, okay? So this x minus 1 and this x minus 1, I'll factor it out as one quantity, x minus 1. And I'm going to be left with 4x minus 7, all right, times 4x minus 7. Okay, what did I just do? I just factored this quadratic trinomial using the grouping method, factoring by grouping. Now I'm going to solve it using the zero product property, which tells me that if I multiply two numbers to get 0, either the first one is equal to 0 or the second one is equal to 0. Okay, let's solve this first one. There's a one-step equation. Just add 1, and your final answer is simply x equals positive 1. And then this one is 2 steps. We're going to add 7 and divide by 4. Okay, so add 7 for the first step. That gives us 4x equals 7. And then divide by 4. And then our final answer will be x equals 7 over 4. Alright, so our solution for this quadratic is x equals 1 and 7 over 4. Alright, now we're going to use our graphing calculators to check and see if these answers are in fact correct. Okay, so let's do this. So what I'm going to do is, let me go back to my original equation. There you have it. I'm going to plug this into my calculator. Fire it on. Press the Y. Clear that. Okay, so let's enter this. So we're going to have 4. This is your variable button here, x. Now if you want to exponentiate, use the caret button under declare. Exponentiate 2 minus 11x. This is the x button right here, plus 7. Alright, so we can press enter. Make sure that's what we have for x squared minus 11x plus 7. Graph. Alright, oh, that looks good. It looks like our answers are right, but we got to make sure that our answers are correct, okay? So, let's zoom. I'm going to zoom in a little bit. Zoom in so that you can see it clearer. Okay, hopefully I don't mess this up. Okay, there you have it. You can see that the first answer is 1 and then the second one is over there. But let's verify. Okay, so I'm going to use the calc option, second function trace. So I'm going to go second function trace, which is calculate. I'm looking for the zeros, all right, where it intersects the x-axis. Scroll down to option 2, enter. I'm looking for the first zero, so my left bound is gonna be to the left of this parabola right here. So let me see, where's my cursor? My cursor coming down. See, I'm to the left of this zero right here, so I press enter. And the calculator asks me where's the right bound. I just need to scroll to the right side of this zero, because this is the zero I care about. Press enter. It says guess. These two arrows are pointing to the zero I want. Enter. Bam. X equals 1 is correct. So our first answer is right. The next answer is 7 over 4. If you write 7 over 4 as a fraction is 1.75, 1 3/4. So let's see if that's what we get, okay? So second function trace again. 0, option 2. You can scroll down and just hit 2. I'm going to hit 2. Left bound, come to the left of just this 0, okay? Don't go to the left of that because you confuse the calculator. So go to the left of this 0. Close but not, yeah, so that's a good left bound. Press enter. Right bound, go to the right of this 0. Or yeah, you can just press x equals 2. Let me do that again. Let's do this. Second function, calculate 2. So left bound, there, enter. Right bound, you can scroll to the right to pick a value that you know is to the right of it. Enter. Guess, press enter again. 1.75. That is exactly the same thing as 7 over 4. Okay? So that basically means that our answer is correct. So let's go ahead and make a sketch of our result, and that will be that. Okay? So just make a sketch. This is just a visual illustration of what our results look like on the graph. It's not a perfect graph. Later on, we'll be focusing on drawing more accurate quadratic functions. All right? So let's calibrate. Hold 3 tick marks. Actually, these 4 tick marks. 1, 1, and then 1, 2, 3, 4, 2. Our y-intercept is going to be positive 7. So let's say this is 1, 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7. So our graph is going to be going through this point, and the other 0 is 1.75, so it's going to be somewhere here. That's 1.75. Okay, so just draw a parabola as best as you can through these 2 points. Going up like that. And then the other one, that's terrible, but you understand the drill. So just draw your parabola as best as you can, okay? Alright, so there you have it. So I'm going to indicate where my zeros are in the graph, because that's part of the question. You have to indicate where your zeros are. So this is the first 0. This is a 0. And this is x equals 1. And this is another 0 right here. And last one is x equals 7 over 4 or 1 3/4. Okay? So there you have it. Alright, thanks so much for paying attention to this presentation. Please feel free to subscribe to my videos and share with your friends on Facebook, Twitter, or Google+. And you can also request videos down here, and I'll try my best to help you out, okay? Collections of clips can be found on myvideosurf.com. Thanks again, and have a wonderful